Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. Here's your host, Russ McClellan.
Hey, welcome to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. How's everybody doing today in the land of, are we in COVID still? I think we are. The second surge of COVID, whatever that's called. It's always fun, but I know a guy who does not slow down in COVID or any other time since I've known him. He's from my hometown. Jason Brooks, I got you on the phone, right?
Hey, Russ, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, and just so everybody knows what we're doing here and how dedicated you are to my radio show, and I am kind of envious. What are you doing right now?
We are fishing in the famed Buoy 10 down here in the Columbia River by Astoria, Oregon. So you've got me. Hopefully the wind won't kick up too bad, but you might hear some commotion if we hook into a fish. And if I accidentally hang up on you, it's because it might be my rod that's finally going off. We've been fishing for the last 3 hours and got one coho to the boat and had to let it go because it was wild. But we're down here fishing in the Columbia River.
Yeah, and you're calling a radio show. I love it, man. You know, you and I have become great friends over the years. We hunt in a same place in Idaho. I'm kind of a diehard. I go back over and over and over again, and just to tell me how old I am, because the mountains are pretty steep. But I thought it'd be kind of a fun conversation to have about hunting and fishing in north central Washington for those people that maybe are interested but don't know if there is or where to go. And I have a feeling you might be able to shed some light on that.
Yeah, you know, that's the best thing about north central Washington is the fact that you've got so much to do in the outdoors. You've got hunting, you've got fishing, you've got hiking, you've got snow skiing, you've got snowmobiling, snowshoeing. Just about anything you want to do in the outdoors is right there in the Wenatchee, Chelan, north central Washington area. It's just a prime area. And for the people that are coming into north central Washington, and maybe you've never done any of this stuff, you know, you don't have to just, go climb a mountain and get a big 30-06 or anything like that. You can start off with birds. They go on waterfowl and upland birds. And then, of course, with the fishing in the summertime there, who can beat going out there and catching a 25-pound Chinook and then going down to the Pybus Market later on that afternoon? I mean, it's a great place.
Yeah, and what I admire about you is that you're not wasting any time. You're always participating in your kids' lives, right? And whether it's playing baseball and chasing one of your sons or whether you're out hunting and fishing just about every species that there is, because about every other day, I think, you're out on Facebook killing something, catching something. So, tell me from your perspective what that has meant to you and your family and your kids.
Well, I grew up there in Chelan, and my father, of course, Al Brooks, was the president of the Lake Chelan Sportsman's Association for over 20 years. And so I kind of grew up doing all that stuff. I didn't know anything any different. That was my lifestyle. Our Disneyland was going up to Stehekin and fly fishing the Stehekin River. We did that every summer. And then come fall, we would fill our freezer with our deer. That's just how we ate. That's what we did. And so when I became a dad, it was just second nature. And, life has blessed me very well. I'm an outdoor writer and photographer. That's what I do for a living. And so I get to go play in the outdoors and take pictures of it and write about it in magazines. And my youngest, who's fishing with me here today, Ryan, he's been on several covers and stuff. He's been one of my main hunting and fishing partners. And then my oldest is a big baseball player. He's a left-handed pitcher for Palp High School, nationally ranked. He's got a college commit to an NCAA school. And hard work has paid off that way. And, I'm a Chelan Goat high school baseball player myself. So it's been good. But with that being said, it's because of where I grew up that I really think that it's led me to where I get to live the life that I get to live. Growing up in Chelan and hunting and fishing and hiking, that was just what you did. And that's what people do. And that becomes a lifestyle. And for anybody who's come over, from the west side to move to the east side, the biggest hurdle they have to get over is the fact that this is a country lifestyle. This is how we are. We were just talking in the boat earlier today about back in high school, taking our shotguns and our rifles and refinishing the stocks and wood shop. You can't do that anymore, but that's just how we grew up. That was what we did. It's a different lifestyle. You get to actually live life. It's the hustle and bustle is gone. You just kind of get to relax and enjoy things and really, really, I don't say take it for granted, but you get to take things for granted that you don't get to do in the city. That's why I like north central Washington.
Yeah, and then, there's a lot of people that have seen a lot of change. I was on another show with one of my agents, and I said, if I had a choice, I'd go back to the 80s. If my dad had a choice when he was alive, he'd probably go back to the 50s. But growth is inevitable, and it doesn't mean that we're going to lose that lifestyle. And one of the reasons for that is that we're pretty blessed with the fact that about 88% of the land in Chelan County is owned by the government in one form or another. So we kind of have a built-in conservancy already. And with that, you have these public lands that you can go hunt, fish, hike, snowshoe, all those things that you mentioned earlier. And that's not going away. So to me, it's pretty exciting. Like that portion of our lifestyle, even if we see a few more cars every year, which we will. I mean, there's a reason why we love it. And there's people that are moving here all the time. And I'm one of the guys selling it to them. So I get it. But what I think is cool for those people that have not grown up like we did in the Lake Chelan Valley, I would encourage them to start. And I know that you're a big advocate of that. And so what would you say to somebody that's nervous or that just doesn't know where to start? How do I get into it?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to go out there and just do it. Take a hunter safety course. Maybe even if you want to take up fishing, hire a guide for the day. You'll learn more in one day from that fishing guide than it'll take you 2 or 3 years to learn on your own. So you want to set yourself up for success. Like anything else, you don't want to just jump right in. You talk about baseball. Nobody picks up a baseball and throws a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. It starts with the basics. The same with hunting and fishing and anything with the outdoors. If you're coming over to the valley or coming over to north central Washington and you're from the city and you're not used to this kind of lifestyle, you start off slow. Go hire a fishing guide and go fishing for the day, and then realize what you have there in your own backyard. And same with like hunting. Take a hunter safety course and go out and go quail hunting, go bird hunting, something that you can do for the day. And then, from there, you're going to progress. And the unique thing about it, both, you and I, Russ, grew up in the Chelan Valley, is you look at the Chelan Valley and how it's growing, and people like growth, some people don't like growth, those kinds of things, progress, whatever you want to call it. But jump in a boat and go up lake. Nothing has changed up lake for the last 150 years, 200 years, eons, since we've been there, since they put the dam in, I guess, and raised the lake level a little bit. It's the last 100 years. So go up lake and see what we're talking about. Get away from the town, get away from all the people, and just get up there and see the natural beauty of it all. And you kind of get a taste of it. And so I think to start, you might want to just start slow and take it all in. Go for a hike. Go, for a boating adventure. And then from there, see where it takes you. And keep an open mind. That's the biggest thing with today is, a lot of people don't have an open mind. They come to the valley from the west side or from someplace else, and they're not used to a kid in the FFA raising a steer for the fair. They don't understand that concept. Go to the county fair. Go walk through those barns. See those kids working and see the work ethic that they've instilled. Mr. Pearson was my advisor back in the day, and, I still think of that man to this day, of all the work ethic he has taught me and what it takes. It's a country lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed with a lot of fishing guides, a lot of hunting guides. The things that you can also do is just go to Hooked on Toys in Wenatchee, talk to Sean and Aaron in the bunch, and ask them what they think. Or just, one might say, well, how do I get up lake to the other end of Lake Chelan? Well, go to the Stehekin boat that takes you, Lady of the Lake, right there at the landing next to the water slides. You can just get on a ferry boat, basically, and it'll take you up there. There's a fast one, there's a slow one, and spend a day and come back. It's really not that expensive, and bam.
Even go up to Mission Ridge for the day. You go up there even in the summertime and, go for a hike up there in the slopes and stuff. Go up top of Blewett Pass. There's, Leavenworth is well known in the area for its little tourist shops and everything, but you got some phenomenal hiking up out of Lake Wenatchee. Just go for a hike.
Yeah, it's funny what the outdoors will do for you. A few years ago, we were in Idaho together around a campfire, and tell everybody what we did and why we did it.
It's just who we are. I mean, in all reality, it recharges our batteries. You are a very, very busy man, and so am I. And you just kind of get caught up in the hustle and bustle of things. And when we fly into the backcountry with the airplane, so when we touch down and that airplane takes off, it kind of hits you that there is no work to be done other than sitting back and enjoying and relaxing and hiking. And it's a different type of work, don't get me wrong, but there's no thinking of deadlines and contracts and those things, because you can't. And that's why we do it. We go back there, and it's one of those things where it kind of reminds you of who you are, where you've come from, and what life is really about.
Yeah. So Jason, you're writing for what are you writing for? 5 or 6 magazines, or maybe way more than that now. I haven't talked to you in a while.
I'm on staff with 7 different publications right now. Plus, I do freelance work as well, and I also do freelance photography. So, I do quite a bit.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic opportunity, and if you're ever around and want to know more about what Jason does or how he reads, you get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to connect you with Jason Brooks. You know, he's one of the very good guys. And
thank you. Goes to me on Instagram too, Jason Brooks Photography.
Yeah, Jason Brooks Photography, truly some phenomenal. But again, you know, Jason, you're not the kind of guy that sits around and goes, you know, I don't feel like it today, because sometimes I see your Facebook, your Instagram, and you're literally 4 hours away from somewhere, and I know you worked a shift the night before in your day job, and you just don't relax, my brother. You're just pushing.
There'll be time for sleep sometime down the road, I figure. It's the way I always look at it. You know, play hard, work hard. That's my biggest life motto. I taught that to my boys, and you just really have to take it all in. Like I said, my oldest, you know, he's got an NCAA college commit, and he did that on his own. You know, he works out in the gym literally 6 days a week, 3 hours a day, just to throw a curveball. He's a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah,
it's all about work ethic. It's all about getting out there. And biggest thing though is enjoying life. And you learn real quick that you got to get out, you got to enjoy it. And North Central Washington has that. It has it for everybody. That's the best thing about that location is you can do so much there that you can't do it all. You can try. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do it all.
Yeah, well, it'll
never happen.
It's inspiring. All right, brother. Well, I'm going to let you go catch the world record salmon and have fun with your buddies. Thanks for calling in on a boat on the Columbia River.
Thank you, Russ. Take care, buddy.
All right, have a good day, buddy. See ya.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home, home sweet home, your home sweet home.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan, operating partner and designated broker of Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I'm excited to say we are growing at an unprecedented rate. We're almost 70 real estate brokers and popping about 3 deals a day in some cases. It's really pretty fun. And the reason I wanted to do an ad today was about our people. The culture of Keller Williams is really simple this. We believe in an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. What does that mean? Well, although we're competitive, we all go out and try to get some similar listings. And with almost 70 people, you might think that that's a problem. But in reality, with an abundant mindset, we know that for us to win, you don't have to lose. With our creative marketing that is unbelievable, with our operating system Command, we're reaching literally hundreds of thousands of people instantly. So if you're interested in selling or buying with one of our agents, trust me, you won't be disappointed. Give us a call at our office, 509-888-0038, or email me direct at russ@frontlinechelan.com. Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. I want to talk to you about something. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel the financial pressures of the COVID virus? That was fun, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, real estate can be a game changer for you, and I'm here to help you. If you want to give me a call at 509-888-0038, I want to talk about your life and getting unstuck. We are growing rapidly. We're the fastest growing real estate company in all of North Central Washington. Give us a call. I want to help you. 509-888-0038.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, welcome to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. How's everybody doing in the land of COVID round number 247? I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but my God, when's this going to end? I don't know if it's ever going to end, but, you know, we do our best. Forget the rest. That's my motto. You got to live life. You got to be strong. You got to try to be safe. You got to do all these things. You ever feel like you're getting spun out? Well, everybody does at some point, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, tough times don't last, tough people do, and we will get through this together. That, I promise you, we're very grateful, and every morning I wake up and I say, you know what, I'm glad I'm an American, I'm glad I live in North Central Washington, and I'm one of the very lucky few. So for me, that personally helps a lot, just to remember to be grateful for what you have and focus on that. All right, today I got one of my good friends and gangster at Keller Williams. Kyle Hurst, are you on the phone?
I'm right here.
Hey, Kyle, thanks for jumping on. And I wanted to ask you a couple questions about real estate and your past. So maybe just briefly, can you tell the people listening to us where you're from, what have you been doing, and how you got into real estate from your day job?
So, well, I started off, I'm born and raised here in Wenatchee, Washington. I've lived in East Wenatchee as well, graduated from Eastmont High School. And after that, I thought I was going to get into engineering school over at WSU. Went over there for a couple years and learned that I didn't want to be an engineer anymore and that I just needed to kind of follow what my heart was telling me to do. And at that time of life, it was orchard management. My grandparents had an orchard growing up that I spent the majority of my time at. Growing up, I would ride my bike out there all the time. Upon graduating, I had a horticulture degree and a bunch of minors in business economics and some other stuff like that. And I got an internship with a company out in Quincy, Washington. This is about a medium-sized orchard, and they basically brought me out there and they allowed me to work with ownership, management, and the field workers out in the field. It was a really great experience. Probably something about this that was a turning point in my life was the times I was able to spend with the owners of the orchard. These were kind of people that I had never been exposed to growing up. And they basically showed me the complete other side of the coin, completely a whole nother way of thinking, an entirely another way of life, to be honest with you. And after these hour-long conversations I'd have with them, they would then send me back out into the orchards where I didn't speak a whole lot of Spanish. And so, I basically had a whole lot of time to really reflect on what they were saying and create kind of a plan on how am I getting to the next level in life. And one of the ways that one of the owners exposed me to was he graduated from Wazoo just like I did. He got into a career that he ultimately did not enjoy, and he got into real estate. He would buy vacation homes around the Pacific Northwest. He would live in them through the summer. He would rehab them, and then he would sell them in the fall, and then he would go back to his house in either Yakima or Hawaii. And it seemed like a great lifestyle. And I was like, if he could do it, why can't I do it? And so, about 70 real estate books later, I finally jumped into real estate. I got my real estate license, about a year ago, and just started jumping right in, and it really appears that the more energy I'm putting into it, the more that, life is just kind of opening up to me. There's people that are all around who are basically coming at me with arms wide open, full of opportunity. It's kind of like bowling with bumpers. It's like I just do something and I hit a little wall and then I talk about it with someone. And they're like, well, just kind of pivot and adjust and maybe go this way a little bit. So it's been no regrets so far.
Well, that's fantastic, Kyle. And you're an inspiration to a lot of people, right? There's a lot of people growing up and in our area with the economics transitioning. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of money coming from the west to the east of the Cascades. And real estate is an area where you can fuel up that financial tank. It does come with some effort though, right? When you're a W-2 employee, it's a little different than when you have to be self-motivated and ambitious. And if you are those things, I think you're a good example of how, you can actually follow your dreams. And my mission is always to change lives to the life people want and the life they deserve, meaning my brokers, using real estate as the vehicle to do that. And I love what you've accomplished. And you're also bringing a pretty unique skill set to our company. And so I'm very grateful for that. One of the things maybe we could talk about is in the last month or so, I've been trying to figure out how we can go in with a system and help farmers get out of farming if that's their choice, right? If that's what they need to do or have to do or want to do. It's not always easy. So I want to talk about two things. You said something interesting. So when you said that you worked with the farmers versus having a horticultural degree, do you think there's a big gap between real life and what's being taught at the university in horticulture?
Oh man, well that's a great question right there. So, over at the university, they, yes, to be completely honest with you, to put it bluntly, I believe that there is a big gap between what is taught in schools and what is real life reality. In school they talk about They give you problems, to solve, and the answer to these problems, they can be very minute answers, very small, like a 1/4% or something like that. But that 1/4% in real life, is that a difference? What is the economical benefit of that 1/4% right there? Sometimes that 1/4%, it's not economical. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't result in any additional efficiencies or effectiveness. So, to answer that question, yeah, there is a big difference. And wrapping your head around a concept like that, personally, that took me over a year, maybe 2 years for, one of my previous mentors in life. He would constantly just kind of throw this up at me, and it finally just kind of clicked for me. And since then, it's kind of just sort of changed my vision, or the way kind of I approach problems and I look at life.
Right. So all of a sudden now we're talking. I brought you into a team of people that I'm putting together because of that background. And you mentioned opportunities, or bowling with bumpers is a great metaphor for life, right? Because it is life. We're always constantly course correcting. Nothing is ever the same. I mean, change is the only one constant we know about that we can predict. And with your horticultural background, maybe you could share a little bit about what we're trying to do together for farmers that maybe find themselves with depressed pricing or hailstorms, or they're just tired, want to get out of the business, and they want to sell it. But the mid-level farming game is tough, where you're not so small you can go to a farmer's market and do all the work yourself with a specific varietal, and you're not big enough to own your own warehouse and packing lines and marketing teams, et cetera. And those people, we're getting calls from them at a higher level than I've seen in a long time. So maybe you could just describe what our goal is based on the last couple of meetings we've had together.
Yeah, so basically what we do is we approach property owners who have a desire of selling or improving their life, or just making some sort of a change. And what we do is we assess their situation, their assets, and we come up with a game plan. What is the highest and best use of your piece of property and what you have in your hands? And what we do is we work together with you as a team, and we come up with, how can we get you out of your current situation with the most money in your pocket in, a timely and effective manner that meets your schedule and goals.
Yeah, that's very well put. And, highest and best use is not always the same, right? I mean, sometimes it's a combination of things. Sometimes we can do a cluster development and keep part of your land in agriculture. Sometimes we rip it all out. Sometimes we can find an orchard buyer. The problem that we're running into is that right now it's a difficult time with pricing, and an orchard is a business, right? And sometimes there's a lifestyle that's been associated with farm. I mean, I grew up on a small 10-acre apple orchard in Manson where my dad raised 3 kids on 18 acres. Most of that time he had 10 acres and, small enough he did all the work, and he had a day job as a hired man for 16 years, 6 of which he worked during the day for the hired man, and then he farmed his orchard at night with a flashlight. So the work ethic was there, but they got rewarded. When you had a good year, it really made up for some of those bad years. Lately, it's been challenging for a lot of people, and of course it depends on varietals, but I love the fact that you can bring the horticultural side of life and really put the commodities to work on paper so we can analyze them from a very realistic perspective. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's well said. Evaluating an orchard as a business, if it's being bought by another orchardist, is definitely the way to go about it. It's the money-making potential of the orchard that a buyer of an orchard wants to see. If zoning does not allow a development or some other, use of the land, then an orchard is the way to go about it. And what we need to do is we need to evaluate it variety by variety, block by block, take in consideration all of the yields, all of the pack outs. So we can basically approach this as if we are flipping a house and then selling it to someone else. It's kind of, there's not a lot of people that are taking this approach, and that's definitely what makes the Frontline real estate team very unique.
Yeah, and we're powered by Keller Williams, and Kyle coming to the end of the segment, but hey, just want to tell you I'm excited you're on board with this concept, and I'm excited we can go out there and help some people together with our team. And I appreciate you being one of our gangsters at Keller Williams. So thanks for calling in. If you want to get a hold of Kyle, if you want to list your home, talk about your orchard, you name it, Kyle does it all. He's working hard every single day. His number's 509-860-6246, or you can email Kyle at Kyle Hurst, Hurst, so Kyle Hurst at kw.com. Thanks again, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day.
You too, man. We'll be right back in just a few minutes with Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and friends.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home. Home sweet home.
Hi, this is Russ McClellan, designated broker and operating partner of Keller Williams Realty NCW. You know, we have almost 70 agents and growing rapidly. We're almost a legit company now with over 2.5 years experience. The good news is this: if you're thinking about changing your life, my goal and my mission to you is to help you transform the life that you deserve and that you want, using real estate as the vehicle to do that. What does that mean? Well, it means whatever you want it to mean. If you want to work part-time, I'll show you how to do it. If you want to work full-time, I'll show you how to do it. And I'm also willing to show and demonstrate our commitment to you and our conviction to our company and transparency by giving you any of the numbers of any of the 70 people that work at Keller Williams. We're a family, we care about each other, and we care about you. So if you want to change your life, you want to get into real estate and have some fun, let's get together and talk. 509-888-0038. Give me a call anytime. You can also call my cell phone at 509-470-2416.
You're tuned to Russ McClellan and friends on the real estate show Home Sweet Home. Let's get back to Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. You know, I had Jason Brooks on earlier, and he was actually in a boat fishing on the Columbia River for salmon. So he called in and talked on my radio show. So I might as well jump from the Columbia River to Maui, where my man Fletcher Ellingson and the Art of Feeling Good is calling in. I'm sure that this was your plan when you went to Maui, was to block time to talk on my show. So I really appreciate the forethought.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I tell you what, just be ready for whatever happens in life, right?
Yeah. Spontaneity is the fuel. Drives us all, I think. I think this need for certainty is overrated. It's one of my concepts I'm always trying to understand, but you've told me a couple times I'm a little bit strange. And so I got to kind of understand people do like to have certainty. And speaking of the lack of certainty, here we go again with new mandates from the government and COVID taking some spikes. And I know your business is to help people maybe tell themselves a different story. And I'm curious what that, if you could share again for everybody listening that's not familiar with your coaching work, what that means. And then maybe share some of the successes that you're having with the many people you're coaching in our company at Keller Williams.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So first off, the practice of feeling good, what that really is about is it is the practice of bringing an empowering story to whatever situation is at hand. We are extremely practiced across the board at creating stories that usually do not feel good and usually do not serve us. We tend to look at situations and look for the negative, or the worst case scenario, instead of creating something that really moves us forward. And so, in a nutshell, the game I'm playing and the game I help my clients play is one of awakening to where we are, or to who we are beyond our history and our current life situation. And this is done by evolving our sense of awareness, declaring boldly who we are. And here's the key: stepping into possibility, stepping into what's possible instead of reacting from our history.
Yeah, the programming that we have, and we've worked together for, 9 or 10 months now. It's fascinating how instinctual we become in our reactions.
Yes.
And maybe you could talk about why that's not necessarily your fault. In other words, if somebody says something to you and you're like, that just made me angry, and then you go on a rant about what they just said, why do we do that versus just let it go?
Right. Because we all are hardwired. We all are programmed. That's the species that we are, and it's modeled for us from the day we're born. It's modeled for us, and then our brain just takes what is modeled for us and starts literally making programs, just like a coder does in the computer world. Our programs are then developed, and then we have to then follow the programs until, kind of like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, until we break out and break or bend the program and set ourselves free. What's really the key to that is the stories that we are creating on an ongoing basis. And I'll give you a couple examples from in the real estate world with people who are in your office. So as you know, I'm working with a number of people there. And one of the greatest things is working with people who have massive drive, but are living in a place of overwhelm, because they've got exactly what they need to be successful in their world, in the industry that they're in. You'd think by looking out from the outside in, you'd think they've got it all going on. You think they should be happy. They're making lots of money. They've got lots of leads. They're connecting. They're doing well. But if you sit down and talk with them, there's very low happiness factor. They're overwhelmed. And so one of the reasons for that is because of the story that they are bringing to their day. And so some of the work that I do with some of your people is help them bring an empowering story, which allows them to continue to work at the level they're working, but now they're doing it from a place of beauty. And the result is they're doing it with ease and a new level of joy. And that feels really good.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to people, but once you figure this little trick out, just a little bit, it's almost like you're cheating in life.
It really is, yeah. Because people looking in from the outside really do, like, gosh, they do have it all, and they seem to be really happy. What's that about?
Yeah.
Right?
Why aren't they stressed out? That would kill me. That's too much. And the funny thing about this, I was thinking about it the other day, is when someone says, well, I got to go take a walk and calm down so I can be level-headed. Mm-hmm. And really, what if you could be level-headed instantly? Right.
Exactly.
Why do you need to walk around? What's causing you, if you admit that you're going to be level-headed after 15 minutes, what is that 15-minute period of time? What's it caused by? And what can we do if we could accelerate that to 1 second? How would that feel?
You're totally on to the secret there, right? Because what in that 15 minutes, what people are doing is they're processing, because they've been reacting to an automatic program. So they're processing now, and they are ultimately developing a new story. And so they come back, they're calmed down. What they've done in that time is they developed a new story that, okay, I can handle this, or I have the capacity for this, or we can work this out. Whereas before, they left in a huff because their story was, this is not working. This is impossible. I can't do this. We're not communicating. So, and therefore they're all in a huff because they're reacting to that disempowering story.
Yeah, you talk about communicating. It was hard enough before we added Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and text messaging at an all-time high, emailing at an all-time high. And we've heard people say that tone is lost sometimes. The delivery of tone in the message is lost. And there's then a giant assumption made on the other end. And I can't even tell you, in the real estate business, almost daily, how I'm talking to somebody that got an email that made them angry or frustrated. And then I said, well, we picked up the phone and talked to them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, no. And I said, well, that might be a good place to start, but don't start being pissed, right? Like, try to stay calm. But, again, it's like cheating, and I say it like that because it's not easy. This isn't like a magic cauldron or a magic wand that in 1 second Fletcher's going to be able to tell you something, and then now I'm going to be an easygoing guy that or gal. It's not what it's like, right? There's work to get there.
Yeah, that exactly, and that's why we call it the practice of feeling good. Just like you and your people, you guys practice real estate. You practice by being in it. All day long, 7 days a week. You're practicing. You're learning all the time. You're trying things that fail. You're gathering information. You're getting out there and noticing what works and noticing what doesn't work. That's called practicing. It's like controlled failure in a sense. And until you hit on that one thing that really produces the result that you want.
Yeah, I don't know if we shared this on another show or not together, but it happened to me not that long ago where a guy said some disparaging things about a client of mine. I was another agent from the west side of the mountain, so nobody over here, and I got fired up. And I kind of like caught an edge and laid into him a little bit about what I thought of his opinion. Childish. I'm 52 years old, right? So I got off the phone and I called you and I was like, what the heck just happened? Thought I had this stuff figured out. And maybe you could share with the listeners what you said to me.
Yeah, so I mean that's a perfect example of you were caught up in a story like, hey, nobody talks to me that way, or hey, nobody disparages my friend that way, or talks about my client that way. Hey, nobody does that.
Right.
And then you had that programmatical reaction that was put in you years ago. You had that reaction, but the cool thing is that you had a level of awareness because you've been practicing. Like you saw the reaction and said, whoa, that's not even me. Like that was automatic. That was the automatic thinking taking place. And so you called, we had a conversation, and you ultimately developed a different story. And our stories give us our access to the actions that we take. And so you suddenly had access to a different action, and you then hung up the phone and made another phone call to that person, right?
Yeah, I called him back, and this is part of being human. I was willing to be vulnerable and apologized for my reaction. Not to get into too much depth with him about it and explain myself too much. I just said, hey, I probably could have handled that better. He's a good friend of mine. It's probably not the right way to handle it. Here's the information you were asking for. Here's what's really going on from our perspective. He appreciated the vulnerability that I was displaying. His guard came down, and instead of duking it out in mortal real estate combat over the telephone, we decided to do a deal, and both our clients got very happy. So, exactly. My goal is to shorten when I fire up like that, and conflict resolution is part of the game of real estate. That's why they pay us. It's important for me to try to reduce that 15 minutes down. But I'm still human, and I still fail my way forward. In fact, I always say that success is just simply failing your way forward over and over again with not the lack of enthusiasm in between. So,
absolutely, I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you mentioned the mask mandate coming up. So a lot of people that could emotionally set people back. My challenge to everyone listening is, let's come up with an empowering story. Like, I don't know what that empowering story needs to be for you to feel good. Well, let's come up with it. Like for me, here we go again. Okay, here we go again. Maybe we're going to get it right this time, or maybe we're going to, maybe it's going to be the thing that needs to happen to put it all to bed. Or I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to trust that we're going to get through this. I'm just going to trust. I'm going to trust that, and that feels good rather than doubting or being in fear. And we have the capacity to do this. That's an empowering story. We can do this. We're in it together. We'll figure it out. We're an intelligent species. We can handle it.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree at times and still be friends.
Absolutely. We can agree to disagree, and we're still going to get through this. And that's an empowering story, as opposed to like, oh my God, here we go again. It's going to be the worst thing ever. It's not really the worst thing ever. I can think of a lot more things that are worse. We can do it, and that's an empowering story.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, my man. If you want to get a hold of Fletcher and talk about coaching with him, I highly recommend it. It's revolutionizing in your mind His number is 509-679-0927. Or what's your website, Fletcher?
It is FletcherEllingson.com, or you can go to thepracticeoffeelinggood.com.
All right, we'll get back to the beaches of Maui and those Mai Tais and create a powerful story on the ocean.
You got it. Thanks, sir.
Thanks for calling in. See ya.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home, home sweet home.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. I want to talk to you about something. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel the financial pressures of the COVID virus? That was fun, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, real estate can be a game changer for you, and I'm here to help you. If you want to give me a call at 509-888-0038, I want to talk about your life and getting unstuck. We are growing rapidly. We're the fastest growing real estate company in all of North Central Washington. Give us a call. I want to help you. 509-888-0038.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. And as always, have Michael Maher with Prime Lending on the phone. How you doing, Michael?
Doing well. Happy to be here and excited to school the masses on all things mortgages.
That's right. It is ninja time. Ninja mortgager. And that's what you guys are. In fact, I believe that. You know, you guys at Prime Lending step up to the plate and make phone calls in this crazy extreme seller's market that often help us get transactions at Keller Williams put together simply by having a third party explain some of the processes in lending. There's so many stories out there and so many processes, and there's a lot of assumptions I'm finding that are just not true. And you are great about kind of getting to the meat of the matter, as they say, and figuring out what's real and what's not real. And just want to acknowledge you guys for doing that and being willing to do that. I mean, not everybody will do that in lending. One of the things we talked about is creativity in general. And so maybe you could kind of share, like, what separates you from a case study, give me an example of some of the things that you're doing when you're looking at things from a different angle, outside the box, as they say, that are allowing people to move forward and get those dreams captured.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate that. So we like to think of ourselves as an out-of-the-box lender. There's a lot of banks and institutions out there that are really good at taking 20% down, 800 credit score deals when those happen. However, you know what? That's not the reality. There's a lot of people that have gone through things in the past and are currently, they just have different situations. So I had a recent one where someone was involved with another lender. We won't name names, but cookie cutter. They're on TV a lot. And basically they went through the process. They actually listed their home. They got into contract on a brand new construction that was being built, ordered the appraisal, and then all of a sudden they got a phone call that said, oh, you're no longer approved. You're self-employed and you need to file another year's taxes and we can't do the loan. So they called us up in kind of a panic. You know, their whole life's uprooted at this point. And they said, is there anything we can do? I took one look at it and saw exactly what was needed to make it work. With everything that happened with 2020 and self-employment and guidelines changed. So we had to call an audible. All lenders actually did. And those who learned the guidelines well were able to succeed through that. And it was a very simple mistake or oversight on the other lender's part, where all we had to do was make a couple of adjustments, and we closed on in September. So basically it's something as simple as what somebody else may not look at. And when you're dealing with a place that may be more like a call center or, cookie cutter, think inside the box, simple things can just get overlooked, and that can ultimately lead to having to fall out of the deal when in all reality you didn't have to.
Yeah, I call that in real estate, a lot of people look at things and you really need to look through things.
Yep, exactly. That's a good point.
And get hyper-local focused on each transaction, right? Like what's really on page 2 halfway down, not just the cover letter. And you guys do that. You guys take it personal. You have pride in what you do, and we do too. That's one of the things that makes us a good team. in a partnership or allied forces, I like to call it. It's important that we really do understand what the role is for each one of us, from title to escrow to lending to real estate. And you have some programs. You mentioned something where the world is pivoting constantly and adjusting constantly. So is ours in real estate law. If we're not up to speed, sometimes having 20 years in the experience doesn't always help you. If you haven't adjusted, you're going to be doing things that were 10 years ago, and that could find you in trouble, right? That's not how we do them anymore. Well, you guys are really up to speed. So tell me what's going on in the world. There's a lot of shifting. Are we still looking pretty good on interest rates again this month?
Yeah, I think we are. However, there's some recent changes as far as the Feds purchasing different securities and possibly slowing down on that. So I think, things are going to start to shift a little sooner than we may have been expecting. All that to say, we don't really know what the federal government's going to do from day to day. They can tell us one thing, and then all of a sudden 6 months later, they're doing something totally different. So as of right now, we're still in historic lows, high threes not high threes, high twos, low threes, obviously subject to change. But right now, if you're thinking about doing something and you can afford the home, now is an amazing and a historic time that we're going to look back on. And a lot of people are going to wish that they jumped at the opportunity, even if they were paying a little bit more than they wanted to for the home in the first place.
Yeah. And there's so many programs available right now to everyone. I know as an example, you're working with my son, who's a retired sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, got a job locally as an electrician at a company, and you're helping him get into a conventional enhancement loan. And there's a good example where the inspection came back. There was a lot of little stuff, some big stuff that I thought might be called out. Well, the appraiser didn't call it out. And he's able to now go, okay, what do we want to fix? So we fix it. And we can add that to the loan. So what that means is you got the appraisal, came in at value of what we sold it for. Then we have a couple contractors giving us bids for some improvements. Then you basically resubmit that to the appraiser. The appraiser looks at it and says, does that add value? Does it meet up to what the amount of money it costs to fix those? And then after the seller's already been paid, then there's another payout to the contractors. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it. And the contractor actually works with our renovation department and gets their draws and can submit when the work's been completed. And it's kind of like a mini construction loan basically, and the contractor works directly with us, and it allows the seller to get paid sooner and the work to start after the loan's already closed, so that it's not holding up anything, and the borrower is able to get repairs and upgrades and things that they want, so that they can move into the home and then maybe focus more on sweat equity and doing some things that they want to do.
And that's all rolled into one mortgage for the buyer.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, so unlike the days of yesteryear where you'd have to go get a second mortgage perhaps, which would be tough to do because you just bought it, there wouldn't be a lot of equity in that. This way, in an extreme seller's market, what I've been coaching my son on is to buy homes that other people aren't as excited about because they may appear to have issues. This home was 90 years old. A lot of work, but good bones, right, on 3 lots. So all of a sudden, he's sitting there in a position where he could move from one lot to the next lot to the next lot. And although there's a lot of sweat equity to do, he's in the perfect situation to do it with the electrical trade that he's in and his buddies that are all ready to work for beer and tacos, beer and pizza, right? So
universal currency right there.
Yeah, the Bartertown USA of 24-year-olds. Right. So that's exciting. But how many lenders know that trick? I don't know. Not very many. Not very many, because I've asked them. And to know it well, they might have heard of it, and they might have said, well, that's that FHA rehab thing we used to do in the 80s. I hate that. Okay, well, first of all, there's like 17 programs on this enhancement loan, and it's not the same thing that everybody remembers. It's a completely different loan, and I wouldn't have my son do it with Michael if I didn't believe in Michael and Sharon Crockett at Prime Lending. So If that's not an endorsement for you, I don't know what is, because you're doing an impeccable job for my son and everybody else that I talk to. The other thing that's really strange about you, you're like a unicorn. You answer your phone.
Imagine that.
What the hell is that about? I don't know. People aren't supposed to do that in the sales business.
Right, I know.
Go to voicemail. Anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. One more thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap it up is you mentioned at a sales rally the other day that if you're in a forbearance, there might be some refinance opportunities for you. Could you we got about 2 minutes left. Could you kind of touch on what you meant by that?
Yeah, definitely. So with everything that's happened and people are now exiting their forbearance plans, many with repayment plans that they're not having to really do anything. The loan has been modified and they're just continuing as is. There's some other options for people that may have not been able to formulate a plan. There's some pretty cool products as far as refinancing goes that allows people that might be in a sticky situation to get out of that with where there may not have been that option in the past. And all that's to say is you're allowed to go much higher on your debt to income ratio, which is all of your debt divided into what your income is. It gives us a percentage that typically we have to stay under. But in this case, it allows you to go much, much higher. And it also allows you to take advantage of refinancing if you are in forbearance, if you have been, to avoid foreclosure or having to even sell the home. So if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. My number is 425-760-8824. You can text or call me at that number, and we can look over your actual situation and see what the specifics are to see if it's a program that works, or maybe there's another out of the box, creative option we can come up with to help keep you in your home. Or if it is time to sell, we know a lot of good realtors, obviously at Keller Williams, that can help you with that, and go from there and keep you out of foreclosure if that's what it looks like it's coming to.
Yeah, well, that's great stuff. As we come to the end of the segment, be proactive, not reactive. Give Michael a call. They might have some credit report issues you need to work through based on this forbearance. There might be a lot of things. So don't hesitate. It's coming down the pipe, and it's unavoidable. So if you're in forbearance, call them. Hey, as always, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And have a good day. I appreciate you tuning in one more time to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan and friends. Have a great day.
It's a brand new day, just came my way. I bought a new home, yeah, home sweet home, oh, home sweet home. Keller Williams, I love my dream home. Yeah, I love my dream home. Home sweet home.